AZ storage SAS key through the PowerShell, you can do that. If you need the documentation, I'll also kind of send this out to SAS key PowerShell is the commandlet to go ahead and generate the same thing out called new hyphen storage account SAS token. This will help you to generate the SAS token on what is the, let's say, the permissions that you need and all these things. I'll just go through that particular documentation out here, understanding what are the permissions you need and all these things out. This will help you generate something called as an SAS key out here. Yes, any more questions here, guys? And is everyone following the same on what is a context? Does anyone have still questions on what is context? I'll be more than happy to explain it once again. But please let me know if you're able to follow the same thing out here. All right, so the next command, moving forward, the next command out here is that I created something called as a test container 01. I now want to go ahead and upload a file or upload a blob into the container. Until now, we've been using Storage Explorer, we've been using all these things out here. Now I want to upload a blob directly by using my PowerShell console, or directly by using this particular PowerShell console out here. I want to do all these, let's say, operations out there. In order to upload it, again, the command here is called set. To modify something, I am now modifying the data inside this particular, let's say, storage container. It is set hyphen az storage blob content. And if you look at the documentation again, I am a huge fan of the documentation. It gives you a good amount of information out here on how do I set this out. Again, it's saying set hyphen az blob content, the name of the container, the file that you want to upload, or yes, exactly the file that you want to really upload out here, and what is the name of the blob that you want to, let's say, set out there. Again, the documentation doesn't tell you you need a context. You again need a context out here. The same context that you have, I can reuse it again. So let's say that I want to upload one simple file. Let's go here and let's get some files out there. So I have some files, let's say some images out there that we've been using. Let's say I want to upload this particular image, one simple image called sample1. So I just copy the path of that particular image and I'll say set hyphen az storage blob content. This is the command that I'm using. Hyphen the name of the container. Let's say hyphen container, and I'll say this is test container 01. I'll talk about the file, meaning where exactly the file is. And I took the path of the path of that particular file. I'll say hyphen sample1, and I'll say the blob name. I'll say sample blob, some or the other blob name, anything kind of works out here. And if I now execute this out, again it will throw you the same error as above when you are trying to create a container telling could not get the storage context, please pass in the context out here and etc. For which what I'll do is I'll just go ahead use another parameter called context. I'll say $ctx, whatever context that I got here. So context, I'm just getting it, I'm grabbing the context by using the get hyphen az storage account. So this is the block that I'm using. I'll also paste this out here in the chat. This is the block of code that I'm just using to grab the context. Once I grab the context, I'm making use of the same context to create my storage container and to also upload the blob inside it. So let me take this and let me say execute this out. So it's going inside that particular path and it's now telling, okay, fine, I have uploaded a blob called sample blob inside that particular container. And if you go here and if you kind of see this out, I now have something called as a sample blob that got uploaded. So I just took, let's say, that particular file path, give that particular file path. So these are the parameters that I've given. So here the base command line is set hyphen az storage blob content. This is the base command line out here. So let me write this down in a editor under the comments. So set hyphen az storage blob content. This is the base command. Hyphen container name or hyphen container, you'll have to pass the container name. Hyphen file, the path or the entire path of the file that you need to, let's say, upload. Hyphen the blob, the name, what you want to call it. If you don't pass this is optional again. If you don't pass this, still will work. But very importantly, hyphen something called context. The context of the storage account that you want to upload this in. I say context, the name of the storage account, the keys of the storage account, the resource group, and all these things. The context of the storage account where you want to upload this out. So this is the entire command what you use to go ahead and, let's say, upload a blob inside a particular storage container as such. I've also sent the same documentation around here on how do you go ahead and upload things out here. So yes, any questions that I can take till here? Anyone, any questions that I can take till here on how do you go ahead and upload something out there?
Actually, I created container without context.
Hmm. So when you created a container without a context, it doesn't throw you an error or something like that?
No, it's created.
Okay, so instead of context, did you kind of do a set hyphen context or something like that, or just did you just run the context out there?
New Azure RM storage container, storage account name, name,
Mhm.
test container, resource group name. That's it. It's
Right.
added.
So you are passing new hyphen Azure RM,
Storage container.
right? You're doing this particular command, right? RM, Azure RM out there.
Yes.
RM is completely a different module than the one that we are kind of looking at. We are looking at an AZ module. So whatever command that we are doing is new hyphen AZ account or AZ storage container or AZ container out here. The
Okay.
module that you're using is different. Now, the module RM works well. You don't have to, let's say, pass the context out there, but the RM module is already retired. No one is actually using the RM module right now. So when you work in a real-time environment, you might be forced to use the AZ module and not the RM module. So that's the reason I am talking about the AZ module directly without going and touching the RM module at all.
Okay. Thank you.
Please try the same thing using the AZ module. You might get an error telling that you need the context out there.
Hello, Kiran.
Good, please.
Yeah, I mean, let's say if there are 10 files, can we automatically give the 10 file names like using a loop or something?
Definitely. If you have 10 files, 10 different files out there to be uploaded, I can also show you that. So very firstly, I'll need to get all the files out there. So let's say that
Yeah,
I have all these files called sample 1, sample 2, sample 3 until sample 9. I need all
yeah,
these files to be uploaded. So very firstly, I would want to, let's say, get the names of the file. So I'll say dollar file names. So I'm just passing a variable called dollar file names, and I want to get the name of the file. In order to get the name of the file that is sitting inside a folder like this, oh, sorry,
yeah,
that is sitting inside a folder something called as sample. What I'll do is I'll run a command called get hyphen child item. Child item
okay,
meaning whatever is the file that is inside a folder. Please go ahead, give me let's say the file, let's say contents and all these things, hyphen path, and I'll pass the file path out here. So if I run this one simple line called get hyphen child item and giving the path out here. Okay, this is I just did not run everything. I just ran one simple thing out here. So let's put my cursor here. Let's run this thing out here. So file names right now holds the information. So if I just say dollar file names, it has things like what is the last written time, what is the length, what is, let's say, the name and all these things out here. And what I'll do is that to filter out only the sample files out here, I will say I'll put a pipe here and I'll say where hyphen object dollar underscore dot name like sample star star. If I run this out right now, I now
Can
have file names. Good,
mhm.
please. Good. So
Can we
I
also
now
use
have.
the
Hmm?
select object there where we are trying to use where object?
Where object here is to more like filter things out. So what I'm doing
Okay.
is that I'm just going and filtering it out. After
Mhm.
this, you can do a select, let's say hyphen or select object property called name out here. You can do that
Okay.
as well. But better way to do it is that in the file names right now, if you look at this one, earlier I had the folder as well called template something like this. Now I don't have a folder. I
Yeah.
only have the file names. So if I do a dollar file names dot name, just get the names of
Okay.
this one.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just now filtering it out. So I can now get the names out here. So if I say dollar names, if I can, go ahead and let's say use another parameter called dollar names, I can say it is dollar file names dot name. If I do this, and if I say dollar names out here, I have all the names right now. So now,
Yes.
if now I want, let's say, go ahead and upload things out here, what I'll do is I'll do a for each loop, and I'll say for each dollar name in names. What I can do right now is that now I can say, okay, fine. I can copy this entire command, paste it inside the for each loop.
Dollar
I can now
name.
say
Yeah.
that in, let's say, file out here,
Mhm.
I'll say pass the dollar name. Again,
And
here you can do for
when you're
mhm,
giving name, also there the path is important, right? Only we have to use it as variable.
exactly.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Only we
Okay.
have to use it as a variable out here, and you can get rid of this particular, let's say, the blob out here since it's optional. I can kind of, let's say, delete that out. I can delete this entire thing, and I can just pass the context value. So what I'm doing is that I have, let's say, multiple objects or multiple names inside the name. So I'm doing a for each loop over the names out there. And if I run this out, it will now go ahead, take each and every sample file out here. Now, if you see, this is now going to sample 2, sample 3, so on and so forth. And it's now starting to upload. Since it's a huge file, it will take some time. But now it's going
Okay.
into each and every file out here, getting the path, getting that particular file. Sample 3 is being uploaded. So now if you look at this one, sample 1 got uploaded, sample 2 is getting uploaded. Sample
Yes.
3 is now being uploaded. So you can now loop it out and you can pass all the names inside a loop and then kind of upload all these things out here without having a manual way of, let's say, passing things out. I just used a couple of more commands, and now I'm using, or I'm now getting the knowledge of, let's say, the Windows partial as well inside the picture, wherein I'm telling the file names is this one, the names is this called dollar files, and I'm now iterating over it. And now if you see, it's now going ahead uploading each and every file, taking each and every object inside it, taking the file, and the only thing that I changed here is the file path. Instead of passing the name directly, I'm doing a dollar name, which is coming from the loop out here.
Okay. In this get child item, only we can get path or like any other information if
Again, in the get child item, you will normally get all the information related to a file that is running inside or that is there inside a particular folder path, like the last date and time, the status of that, is it a directory, is it a file, and all these things out there. So get child item is just to go ahead check what are all the files inside a particular
that
path out
child
here.
is local path, right?
Local path, correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, anyone, any questions for this? Anyone who did not follow it, anyone who want me to explain it again, I'll definitely be happy to explain the same thing again.
Yeah, hi Kiran. Yeah,
Hmm.
actually in the real time, these files and all will be any SharePoint or any like that. Actually here we are
Uh,
giving our local path, right?
Correct. It could be a SharePoint, it could be, let's say, sitting in something like Azure repository and etc. So you just have to give that particular file share path instead of that. Again, if you look at this one, the set hyphen easy blob content content out here, it'll also give you an example on how to go ahead and upload it from a particular file path, file share path out here, and all these things out. So that path can be anything. That path is not an issue. The path can be anything. You can just use this particular command to upload the same thing out there.
Okay.
Yes, any more questions here? Again, there is one question telling that how do I use a param block to, let's say, upload all these things, or what do I do to, let's say, use a param block to make my script absolutely reusable? That's what I'm getting down to. So if I want to use a param block, or if I want to, let's say, introduce the parameters, etc., I'll say param, and I'll say the name of the resource group is $rg name, and I'll say the location is $location. I'm now passing, or I'm now declaring parameters out here, and I'll say after this, I'll say $storage account name. I'll say SKU name if you want to, let's say, parameterize that as well, and I will say $container name, and I'll say file path. It's like which file path that you want to, let's say, really pass out here. I can give all these things out here as a parameters, as a required parameter. And now before running the new -az command, I would try to check whether that storage account is there, sorry, whether the resource group is there. I'll say rg status is equal to get hyphen az resource group hyphen the name of the resource group, and I'll take the name from the $rg, and I'll say the location is $location out here, and I'll do an error action here telling it to silently continue. And now I'll do an if else telling if the storage status, sorry, if the rg status, not the storage status, rg status is equal to null, then go ahead and create something. So I'll say new hyphen az resource group, then I'll copy that out properly. Let me cut this out, copy it out inside the loop, and instead of giving demo rg, we'll say it is $rg name, and in place of the ECUS2, I'll say it is $location. Else, I would normally say that the given or the resource group already exists. I'll say rg with the name $rg name already exists, and then I would go ahead and do the same thing for the storage account and same thing for the container as well. So this is my basic logic on going ahead and using the parameters. How can we change the permission? You'll have to pass a different permission out there. Again, if you want to change the permission, the command here would be set -az storage container, not new -az storage container. In place of permission, you can give it as a blob or a container out there. Again, I just pasted the entire code that I am using. What I want you all to do is, this is the logic. I have given you the bare logic, or I've given you the skeleton logic for creating a storage account by introducing something like if else. If the storage account is already there, then don't create it. If it is not, then go ahead and, sorry, if the resource group is not there, then create it. Otherwise, just tell that, okay, fine, the resource group is already there out here. I want you all to implement this logic. I want you all to understand firstly this logic and implement it for a resource, sorry, implement it for a storage account and also a container inside a storage account by using the if else out there, by using, let's say, multiple statuses out there, and etc. But very importantly, I want you all to understand how did we upload it. A simple file. I firstly showed a simple file to, go ahead and upload this out, and I'm now replacing that particular simple file with multiple files, and I'm using a for each loop over it. The reason being, for each, for loops, this looping concepts are really, really very important because we use them again and again in our scripts out there. So basic loop logic is good enough for you to, let's say, get started out there, and from that you can, let's say, build your own logic as such. So the assignment here is this. The assignment here is that, can you create RG storage account container and also upload blobs? I'm not talking about one single blob. Also upload blobs into the container using if else logics, meaning to check whether it's there. If it is not, only then create it. If it is there, please skip it out. And making your script reusable. This is something that I want you all to, let's say, focus upon. Please write this logic. Please send it across to me over the email called classes@devops@gmail.com. If you're getting an error, please also, let's say, attach that particular screenshot. Let me know what did you try doing to, let's say, resolve that error, and I'll be more than happy to help you out there. Any questions with this? Any questions regarding this particular script out here? Anyone? Any questions till here? Anyone? Anything that I can take before we can close this session? Again, I am not expecting you all to, let's say, go ahead and create everything. I'm just expecting you all to, let's say, think in this direction. That's it. That's the only expectation that I do have, because I understand this is a little tough. Programming is a little tough, or scripting is a little tough, right? Rather. So I would want you all to, let's say, go ahead and check this out. Let me know what exactly that you're getting out there.
So can I explain uploading a file one more time?
Sure. So for uploading a file, so before I do the explanations, Kiran, what I would want you all to do is just try doing this command. Just the bare basic command. That's it. Just try this out. Give a file path, give the context, upload it out. If you're able to do that, get this entire thing into picture. So the only thing that I want you to do is set -az blob content, the name of the container. So this is where I give the explanation. The name of the container, the file path. In my case, this was the entire file path, and sample1.jpg was my file that I wanted to upload, and then the context, and then upload this out. Then you can, let's say, see these two lines and how did I get all the file names and uploaded all of them at one go out there.
The file it is, whether it's whatever it is, whether it's a pic or a video or a file, video, anything.
Whatever it is, yes. Yes, whatever it is, you can, let's say, use the same thing out there. Yes, any more questions, guys?
How can we see that blob, sir?
If you want to see that blob again, you will have to generate the SAS, and you'll have to, let's say, use the browser to see it, or you can use a storage explorer to see that same thing out there. So again, if you go inside the blob, you get the URL, and you looking at that particular URL. Again, if it's protected, you won't be able to see this one. You'll have to generate your shared access signature, or you'll have to, let's say, see this along with the access keys and all these things out there. So you can generate the shared access signature out here, use some kind of shared access signature, copy all these things out, and if you go into the browser, I mean, it'll normally download this out, and you can, kind of check this blob out there. So this is how you can go ahead and, kind of see the blob.
Uploading from PowerShell, we
Hmm.
have to check, we have to give access key in the Azure portal, sir.
No, I'm not giving the access key. I'm passing the context. So if you look at this, the context in itself has the connection string. So I am not passing any access key as such. But if you want to see it, then yes, you will have to, let's say, take the access key, use a browser, and, kind of see the blob, or you can use a storage explorer to see the blob out there. Yes, any more questions, guys?
Hello, Kiran. This is Santosh here. Just I want to clarify that the people who are going for the Azure admin domain,
Mhm.
yeah, it is. It's. I think it's for automation of DevOps. It's an advantage for the advanced skill we can say.
I
Either it is
mhm.
mandatory. It's a mandatory for both Azure DevOps and Azure admin, right?
I would say it is mandatory. Some kind of an automation is mandatory. Both either you go for Azure administration skill or let's say Azure DevOps. Some kind of an automation is mandatory. Either PowerShell or ARM templates or Terraforms to let's say create and automate the infrastructure and etc. Some kind of automation is mandatory is something that I could say. Not really PowerShell, not only PowerShell. You can have PowerShell, or you, if you have a Bash knowledge, you can have a Bash knowledge. Or if you have a Terraform, or if you have, let's say, ARM template knowledge, even that is good enough.
Yeah, if I go to the admin side, for example, it's
Mhm,
in admin side, most probably we have stay checking the status of the VMs and like what is the issues and works or what are the
mhm,
things you're finding all the
mhm.
solutions for that in
Right.
administration.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Right.
people and why this question I asking is people who are
Mhm.
non-coding background, it is
Right.
it is easy way to do the work very sample and very
Mhm.
clear piece of that's why I'm thinking on it.
Not really. So if you look at administration work as well, right? You will also, let's say, have to, let's say, do some user administration out there, like, creating multiple users, assigning those users permissions out there. You need some kind of an automation as there as well, because I also do have a lot of colleagues who are in the administration background who do use a PowerShell a lot. So depending, I mean, even I'm an administrator. I was an administrator earlier, so I can, from that particular experience, say that though administration looks very simple, manual in nature, it involves a lot of it involves a lot of automation. So you need some kind of a bash or some kind of a PowerShell scripting to, let's say, go ahead and do the job out there.
It's a basic, it is enough, right? In the basic, well, it's incompletely.
Basic
It's a
should be enough. Like basic should be enough. Like, once you start with the basics and once you get into the job, you'll be able to understand how to, let's say, implement things on top of that particular basic out there. And even that, the one that I'm teaching right now is basic in nature. So once you get these basics out there, once you practice it out, you'll be able to, let's say, perform the same thing out there.
yeah. Thank you.
All right, so with that, I'll need to close, guys. So, Bhaskar, I'll address your email. I got your email. I'll address the same thing out there. I'll just check debug and reply back to you. And any more questions, I'll be able to take it tomorrow before we get started. So, have a good day ahead, guys, and we'll meet tomorrow and we'll discuss more on this one. Thank you.